Good morning, brothers, sisters, and siblings in the struggle. Welcome to another edition of CWA Our Power Radio Show, where we lift up the leaders, the laborers, and the legends who have paved the way for justice on the job and dignity in our communities. Right here on KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're visiting the beautiful city of Houston, you can take us with you on KYOKradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Pacific on KYOKradio.org or the CWA Strong app or your favorite podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Thank you for joining us on the CWA Human Rights Hour Power Radio Show this morning. It's about us. That's right. It's about us. Working agreement, solidarity, living wages, worker power, and simply human rights. Honk your horns if you support workers. We have a phenomenal show lineup with you this morning with Sir Reginald Small, Timmy Wiley, and Tay Akins today, so don't you dare change that dial. We have some awesome topics this morning to be discussing. Standing through the storm, labor, legacy, and Lou Moye. Spotlight June is Pride Month with Reginald Small. Futures on hold, the crisis facing Job Corps students, and our guest today will be Mr. Eric Hall. And instead of the Union Buster of the Week, Timia has a special treat. And then, of course, we cannot ever leave without Tea with Tay. Our union voices are ringing in every district from Alaska to Maine, Texas to Minnesota, Canada to Puerto Rico, because we don't play at CWA. Our union brothers, sisters, and siblings at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette have been outside for 31 months striking on the picket lines. And yet, while they are striking, they are still churning out the news with facts for you and me. Let's show our support to them by making sure we subscribe to unionprogress.com. Once you subscribe to this free publication, how about going over and donating to their strike fund at cwa.org/ppg donate. And I just heard someone shout in the background, when we fight, we win. They beat her, but they could not break her. Today, we speak the name of a woman whose truth became a torch. On June 9th, 1963, 62 years ago, Mrs. Fannie Lou Hamer was arrested in Winona, Mississippi for the crime of returning home from a voter education workshop and daring to sit in the front of a Greyhound bus. She was trying to build democracy. They tried to destroy her. They tried to destroy her body, and yet she rose. That day, after some of her colleagues were refused service at a whites-only cafe, Fannie Lou stepped off the bus and into the jaws of white supremacist violence. She was arrested, kicked, and thrown into a cell. And then came the brutality. Three white men, one of them a state patrolman, returned to her jail cell. They made two black men, fellow prisoners, beat her with blackjacks until her body went limp. She was left bloody, broken, and nearly dead, but she was not silenced. Fannie Lou carried the scars of that night for the rest of her life: kidney damage, leg injuries, chronic pain. And when she testified in 1964 at the Democratic National Convention, she did not ask for pity. She demanded truth. She demanded justice. She demanded a seat for the real Mississippi, the Black Mississippi, the poor Mississippi, the freedom Mississippi. And today, we must ask ourselves, what have we done with the seat she fought to claim? We're still battling voter suppression. We're still staring down police brutality. We're still being told to wait, but be quiet, go slow, while justice moves at lightning speed, or injustice, I should say, at lightning speed. But we know what she knew. You don't get free by whispering, you get free by organizing. I'm speaking now, not just as a union member, but as a Black son of the South, as someone who has seen how quiet violence creeps through policy, paychecks, prisons, and polling places. Fannie Lou Hamer was a field hand, a sharecropper, a woman who said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But she never gave up, and neither can we. So Let this be your charge today. Register people to vote. Stand in your union meeting. Speak up when silence would be easier because they may try to break us, but like Fannie Lou, they will not win. We do this in her name. We do this in our names. And we do this for the names not yet written in the books, because the future depends on what we choose to fight for today. This is our power, and I'm still standing just like she did. This has been your CWA Our Power Human Rights Spotlight. Stay strong, stay union, stay human. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org. The CWA Strong app or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next, we're going to turn it over into the hands of Mr. Reginald Small, standing through the storm, labor, legacy, and Mr. Lou Moye. Good morning, Reginald.
Good morning, Errol Minor. I appreciate you spotlighting Fannie Lou Hamer this morning. As you very well know, she is one of my favorites. And if anyone needs inspiration or needing to know why I should vote and how important it is to vote and just the right to vote, I encourage you to look into a little bit more about Fannie Lou Hamer. Go on any of the YouTubes or anything and listen to her speech at the Democratic Convention some years ago. It is truly inspirational. And anytime I think that I'm going to miss the opportunity to vote, I think about what Fannie Lou Hamer actually went through. And many people like Fannie Lou Hamer and many of us who are still pushing the right to vote. I mean, she's an inspiration. So thank you for sharing that this morning. But but back to what I'm on for today. Welcome back to another powerful edition of the CWA Our Power Radio, where we raise voices, build bridges, and move in solidarity. Today's episode is not just timely, it is entirely necessary. On May 16th, 2025, an EF3 tornado tore through North St. Louis, leaving behind a trail of broken homes, power outages, and devastated lives. But it also revealed something stronger than the storm: the resilience of working people, the strength of the community, and the legacy of leadership that refuses to be uprooted. And speaking of legacy, when we talk about legacy, very few names carry as much weight as the man joining us today, Mr. Lou Moye. For over 50 years, Lou Moye has been a relentless force in the labor movement and civil rights struggle, rising from the shop floors of Chrysler to lead UAW Local 110 to serving as a longtime president of the St. Louis chapter of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. We know it as CBTU. Whether he was organizing justice on the job, fighting discrimination, or standing against right-to-work attacks, Brother Moye has always stood where the people needed him. Today, we have the honor to sit down with this labor legend to talk not just about the past, but about the now. What does disaster recovery look like for working people? What is the role of labor when the winds blow hard and the structures we know collapse? And how do we ensure equity, real equity, when it's time to rebuild? So welcome, Mr. Moye, to KYOK Radio, our Hour of Power. We are just really blessed to have you on the show with us today. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and thank Brother Small for the introduction, and I just want to thank you for being here and participating in this discussion. My thanks also go out to Brother Minor, the coordinator of this Our Power CWA Our Power radio show, and I think that's great. Not only for labor, but great for our community. And I just want to let you guys and the ladies know that I really, really appreciate being here. And also to be able to talk about one of the most destructive tornadoes in our community.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. So, we want to know, how have the recent tornadoes affected the neighborhoods and communities that you worked for years in St. Louis from a personal perspective?
Um, Let me just say something about the tornado. The tornado was very, very destructive. It had a path of 23 miles, and in some instances, it was a mile wide. So it were able to hit and destroy certain communities, basically. And unfortunately, um, black black neighborhoods uh, took the brunt of it, of the destruction. It seems like the tornado went, it would not seem like it did. The tornado did go through uh, the African American neighborhood in the city of St. Louis, and it destroyed homes, tore off roofs, cars, turned flip cars, destroyed churches, uh, damaged schools, left people basically homeless. And I believe it was like 6 schools that were damaged, and two of them were high schools that will not be able to open this fall, and
Oh
so
my.
they're having to be transferred to other schools. So students has to go through that trauma of relocating as well.
Yeah, I can only imagine when you're describing a tornado that in some cases is a mile wide. I mean, the devastation, of course. I mean, it's severe, and to put it mildly. I'm curious, Mr. Moye, how is the community actually pulling together? How have you seen the community, labor unions, organizations actually pulling together in response to the devastation?
Yeah, we had a joint response to the devastation. Our unions, our clergy, uh, our residents from all over the cities has been in support of those that were affected and homeless as well. The Urban League has played a very important role and set up immediately set up a fund to support as a relief fund, basically, and it's providing shelter for some of those who were homeless, and that's a big concern that we have there. Our unions have played a role as well. We've had a number of trades unions, the electricians. One of the big issues was the loss of power as well. And so you can imagine what that's like, particularly in, at night, in our nighttime. And so electricians came in with big lights and setting up temporary lights and those kinds of things. We've also had support from operating engineers uh, uh, with the large equipment to remove debris, etc. The firefighters union and their members have played a great role in turn of helping put up tarps and boarding up windows and stuff to try to keep the weather element from destroying what was left in some of the homes. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of rain since then.
And
Since
more coming, it seems that we're
yes,
having rain in the forecast this week.
and that's created more damage from mold to you imagine what water could do. Even though folks have tarps, etc., water seems to always find a way uh, to get into your homes and do continue destruction of property.
Of course, of course. Now, of course, long after the news stops talking about these things, the impact and the devastation from a tornado and the rebuilding process takes a very, very long time. So I know that this has just been a few weeks ago. How can we, and our listening audience and other labor unions and organizations, how can we actually help?
One of the first thing I would suggest to unions, in particular international unions, is to investigate membership issues. Take care of your members first. Find out, do you have members in that area, particular retirees who are suffering from that destruction. I know that some of the international unions have funds for these kind of situations, and I think that's one of the first things we should do is make support those our members that was directly affected. The other thing, some of the other things that are being done, the St. Louis Labor Council is through a program that we have providing gift certificates, $100 gift certificates to all union members in that area at a grocery store for food, and that's something that's very, very appreciated coming from our unions, and a number of other unions, the laborers, and has been in there helping with removing debris. We had a lot of power lines down and trees blocking streets, and so we've had a large number of union members participating and giving aid.
Yes, yes, I can see that. In you're correct about I totally agree with you about taking care of your membership first. In everything that you've said, and of course St. Louis is in District 6. I happen to be in District 6 as far as the CWA union design is broken up. And we actually have a drive, and we're going to be encouraging them to resend out that publication because we have a drive going on to help in some other ways with some personal items that we're trying to raise through the St. Louis chapter with President Floyd Bell there. So we have some things going on there. I want to, what obstacles do you foresee that you can see in the rebuilding of the communities that have been hit?
Well, let me just say this about the community. It's a community that was already in distress. It was a community where the annual income is $30,000 and less. It was a community where some had did not have insurance on their homes. It's a community where there's issues with deeds and etc. What I mean by that is that some folks are in homes that their grandparents left them, or parents, and in some cases transferring of the property, the deeds didn't happen. And so those things we have to try to correct those things in there. And so the North St. Louis is where most of Black folks live. And North St. Louis for decades has not received the kind of investments that we have seen in other parts of the city. And so that has been an issue, political issue. North St. Louis basically had had been allowed to deteriorate in terms of services, in terms of infrastructure, etc. So we already had those kinds of problems. So a lot of our people are staying in their homes, even though they've had a lot of large destruction, and even though they shouldn't even be there, but they're staying there for fear of their property being taken.
Oh, I understand that with gentrification always on the, a threat to or felt as a threat to some of our communities. I definitely get that. And you mentioned that airship isn't clear in some of the houses. In some of the homes, and that also limits some of the funds that you can receive because there's no clear title to the property. I have seen that before, and I hadn't thought about that actually being an obstacle in this particular case. So looking ahead, Mr. Moye, how do you see this tragedy being transformed into an actually opportunity for a stronger community? It makes me think back to what was intended for evil or devastation can actually be turned to good. What can you see as the outcome of this situation?
We need a plan for rebuilding. We need a plan to rebuild block by block and actually grow the community. We need a plan for our schools. Our schools has also been underfunded as well, and infrastructure issues. I'm talking about in North St. Louis. We need a plan, block by block, and where homes need to be rebuilt, it should take place, and that's going to take everybody's support. The corporate entities, unions, organizations, our churches, I believe, to participate in this rebuild process. I'm sure that our churches, they should get the support that they need too. Some of our historical churches that I had an opportunity to participate in many town hall meetings, that doors was always open to the community. We got to make sure that they are rebuilt and maintain their presence, maintained in our community. Legislatively, funds is on the way from our city and our state. The state has passed a 100,000 million grant that's making its way through this process, and the city has a 30 million grant that's making itself going through the process. And FEMA, a declaration was signed this past Monday, so they're now on the ground and available. So all those funds, in my opinion, should be joined together. First, to take care of people individually, but also to look at how we rebuild and make sure that we keep in mind that the community was already distressed, and we need educational programs and jobs, good jobs, union jobs for our workers.
Yes, and Mr. Moye, it seems like you left us with a plan and you gave us a lot to think about. And unfortunately we're out of time because I wanted to delve in even some more with you because you're such a wealth of knowledge. I've always thought that you were a walking history book. and an activist that I would like to pattern myself behind. So what we'll do is we will actually have you back on because we want to hear more and we want to hear the updates as we progress through the rebuilding of the community. And we're trusting and praying and hoping that it comes back to be a more resilient, stronger, vibrant community than before the tornado actually came through. So we thank you for coming on the show today and giving us your personal insight and sharing your wisdom with us. And Errol, I will have to turn it back over to you at this time. And again, Mr. Moye, thank you so much.
If I just quickly
You
respond
can.
that I wanted to let folks know the role that CWA, two of CWA members has been on the ground. They come from 6300 from day one. And we have a union program working with United Way, and they are representatives of that, and they're also members of CBTU as well. Senator Carla May grew up with CBTU and CWA.
Yes,
She's
she did.
on the ground working as well. So CWA is playing a great role. And I wanted to mention that before I get out.
And I appreciate you mentioning that, Mr. Moye. I appreciate that. And I am familiar with the workers over at CWA 6300. And yes, they are doing great work. Thank you so much. And thank you for pointing that out. That's very important.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Moore. And if you want to donate to the CWA Human Rights Relief Drive St. Louis Tornado Response, you may do so June 6th through June 20th. They've already begun at CWA Local 6300, 2258 Grissom Drive, St. Louis, Missouri 63146, or contact President Floyd Bell at 314 991 0200. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you are on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org, the CWA Strong app, or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Up next, we have Sir Reginald Small, and we are all going to join in because this is the month of June and this is Pride Month. Good morning, Reginald.
Good morning again, Errol. I'm back so soon. Good to be back. And I'm Reginald Small, of course, Civil Rights and Equity Chairperson, CWA.
That's
I'm
right.
Tay.
Hey, Tay. And I'm Errol. And listen, y'all, today's segment is for the bold, the beautiful, and the brave because we're talking about pride, power, and purpose.
And we're also talking about being sick and tired. Fannie Lou Hamer said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And we feel that still today. Sick and tired of violence in our communities. Sick and tired of seeing labor rights rolled back and worker silence. Sick and tired of the attack on our history and the attempt, not the success of our history being erased. And I say that because no one can erase our history at all. So I'm sick and tired of civil rights being ignored, sick and tired of the LGBTQIA plus rights still not being treated as human rights, sick and tired of human rights being treated like they're optional.
But what do we do when we're sick and tired of being sick and tired? We raise up, we speak out, and we show love.
That's right. So if you're listening today, we want you to take what you're about to hear and let it move you, not just emotionally, but into action. You have the power to make a difference in your workplace, your home, and your community.
You're absolutely right. And it's June, and that means it's Pride Month. Let's be clear, Pride isn't just a party, but it's a proclamation. And we want to say we see you, we support you, we stand with you, because when we talk about human rights, we're talking about everyone's rights, not just a select few.
And let's talk about the reality of it all. According to the Trevor Project, 45% of the LGBTQI plus youth seriously considered suicide last year. That number jumps even more higher for trans and non-binary youth, nearly 54%. That's a large number. Transgender people, especially Black trans women, face violence and murder at devastating rates. In 2023 alone, over 30 transgender and gender nonconforming people were killed, murdered in the US, and the majority were people of color.
And while we wish it were just extremists or fringe groups, discrimination isn't just coming from back alleys or hate groups. Even under the current federal administration, LGBTQIA plus protections are being rolled back. Trans students are being denied equal access to sports and bathrooms. Faith-based adoption agencies that discriminate against same-sex couples are being defended in court. Book bans and curriculum censorships are being pushed in school districts across the country. Let's be real. This ain't just about policies. This is about power, pain, and the politics of exclusion.
And that's why we take Pride Month seriously. We have to understand the history of our symbols because symbols spark action. So let's talk about the pride flag arrow.
Right. That rainbow flag we all know and love. Its first flew in 1978 in San Francisco Gay and Lesbian Freedom Day Parade. And that was up under Harvey Milk. And I'm pretty sure that Harvey Milk has been in the news lately. So he was the first openly gay elected official in California. And what he did was he asked Gilbert Baker, a veteran, a drag queen, and artist, to create a symbol of hope and pride.
So the original flag arrow, as you know, had 8 colors: purple for spirit, turquoise for magic, blue for harmony, green for nature, red for life, orange for healing, pink for sex, and yellow for sunlight.
After Harvey, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, it's on you.
After Harvey Milk was assassinated, pink and turquoise were dropped due to supply issues, and the 6-colored rainbow became the most recognized version.
But it didn't stop there. In 2017, the Philadelphia Pride flag added black, brown stripes to recognize QTBIPOC, queer, trans, Black, and Indigenous people of color, who are often left out of the narrative, though they've always been central to the movement.
And then in 2018, Daniel Quasar created the Progress Pride flag, adding the trans stripes, blue, pink, and white, in a chevron style to show forward movement. And the black and brown stripes were added again to acknowledge racism and marginalization within queer spaces.
And let's not forget the 2020 Queer People of Color flag, which boldly included the Raise Black Lives Matter fist. It wasn't just a pride flag, it was a call to action and visibility for racial justice inside the LGBTQIA plus movements.
And in 2021, artist Valentino Veschetti released the Intersex Inclusive Progress flag, adding a yellow triangle and purple circle to represent intersex people who are often excluded, or erased even within LGBTQIA plus spaces.
Each evolution of the pride flag is a reminder. Inclusion is not assumed. It must be visible, it must be vocal, and it must be fought for.
And we have to remember that the flags aren't about decoration, they are about declarations that we are still here, still fighting, still loving, still building, and still rising.
So whether you are a member of the LGBTQIA plus community or an ally, Pride Month isn't a time to be silent. It's a time to amplify. It is a time to remember that diversity is not a threat. It is a strength. And if someone else's identity makes you uncomfortable, maybe it's not them that needs to change.
In this union, in this country, and on this show, we don't throw people away. We build bridges. We break barriers, and we fight like hell to make sure everyone gets to the finish line together.
So don't forget to hang a flag. Live the message. Don't just say love is love. Defend the people who need the love the most.
And don't wait for someone else to do the work. You're already part of the movement. The moment you decide, everybody matters.
In this Pride Month, don't just remember the colors. Please remember the people. And most of all, remember that when we lift each other up, nobody gets left behind. And in my own simple way of saying, anybody, all people with a beating heart, we deserve dignity and
All right. Thank you so much, guys. You're listening to KYOK 1140 AM and the all new 106.5 FM. If you're on the go, you can take us with you by visiting kyokradio.org. Listen and subscribe to us every Thursday morning, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on kyokradio.org. The CWA Strong app or your preferred podcast player, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, iHeartRadio, and Podchaser. Search for CWA Hour of Power on your favorite podcast player. Up next, we're going to be talking about Futures on Hold, the crisis facing Job Corps students with Mr. Eric Hall as our guest for today. Family, we're back on the airwaves with a deep and urgent story that strikes at the core of what our union stands for: opportunity, justice, and the dignity of labor. And this week, we're shining a light on Job Corps, a program born from War on Poverty in 1964, providing job training, education, and housing to over 25,000 low-income youth each year, ages from 16 to 24. These are the future nurses, carpenters, IT specialists, electricians, mechanics, and pharmacy technicians of America. And many come from communities that have been written off by society. And now their futures are being put on the chopping block. As we all are aware, on May 29th, the U.S. Department of Labor announced a phased pause of operations at 99 contractor-operated Job Corps centers, citing cost, data, and disciplinary concerns. But let's be clear, what's happening is not a pause. It's a targeted shutdown of programs that has served as a last chance and only chance for countless working class youth. And let's talk about names, because there are names in the news. Emily Scott in Los Angeles, caring for a disabled mother while training to be a nurse, is just 4 months away from graduating. Andrea Watts, who escaped homelessness in Las Vegas to pursue her high school diploma and a pharmacy tech career. And both of them and thousands more have been pushed into limbo. Now let's talk truth. This is the decision of to halt the Job Corps isn't just about students. It's a direct attack, watch this, guys, on skilled labor pipeline in America. These programs produce certified job ready workers and who feed our union apprenticeship programs, power our public infrastructure, staff our hospitals, and repair our electrical grids. And let's not forget, we're in the middle of a national skilled labor shortage. And by dismantling Job Corps, this administration is creating long-term damage to our labor force, undermining the foundation of blue-collar job growth and robbing unions of their future membership base. And unions like ours are fighting every day to train, certify, protect, and elevate working people. But what happens when that pipeline is cut off at the root? You want a reason why marginalized youth and communities of color feel disillusioned? This is it. And the lie being told is that the program doesn't work. The Department of Labor's report saying average graduation rates are under 40% and that there are serious incident infraction. But on the ground, staff say that those numbers were manipulated, taken out of context, and used as a cover for premeditated shutdown. Michelle Matthews, who leads the LA Job Corps Centers, called the decision a calculated lie, and is still working day and night to find shelter for students left homeless. And we have a judge has since issued a temporary restraining order saying that the Congress funded this program through 2025, and the executive branch has no legal authority to gut it unilaterally. And to help us understand the full scope of what's happening, we can and what we can do, We're honored to welcome Mr. Eric Hall, an outspoken Job Corps advocate and co-founder of the Black Lives Matter Birmingham chapter, and he's been fighting on the ground with students and staff, and he joins us now. Good morning, Mr. Hall.
Good morning, Brother Minor.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us today, and we're glad to have you on the CWA Hour of Power radio show. Mr. Hall, can you tell us what makes Job Corps unique, not just a training program, but as a community and a lifeline?
I mean, Job Corps is it's the nation's largest career technical training program. And for 60 years, Job Corps has been transforming the lives of young people, providing opportunities, providing job, building a workforce, building a middle class, taking young people who have been left in places that are destitute, that they have to deal with despair, dread, despondency, and death. Um, it has offered them hope and opportunities in so many ways. And this program, the Job Corps program, it's a life-changing program. One that was designed with the intentions of building the working class and the middle class and uplifting people out of poverty. Job Corps started under the Economic Opportunity Act in 1964. And so it was intentionally designed to uplift, and let's just be honest, marginalized communities and poor Black communities and other communities um, that have to deal with poverty conditions. So Job Corps is a very instrumental program. One of the reasons I advocate for Job Corps, being a former admissions counselor for the Job Corps program, it offers students that are oftentimes overlooked. It provides help. And so I'm able to help homeless youth. I'm able to help young girls who have been sex trafficked to have an opportunity to go somewhere that's safe, where they can get their high school diploma and a trade and move to wherever they need to move to so that they won't have to be in those conditions any longer. Places like rural Alabama, who programs, or, rural places everywhere who may not have the resources to have an alternative learning program, um, Job Corps provides options for those local small towns who can't afford educational opportunities. Those kids have somewhere that they can go, and so Job Corps is a life changing program.
And I believe that we need to put um, names, faces to individuals or to situation or to individuals, I should say, that are being affected by this. And my question to you today is, what are the students telling you right now? Because I know you're still hearing from the students, even though you have been let go.
Yeah, so and you got to understand, I'm the first one they meet. These students, when they want to come to Job Corps, I'm the one that they know. I'm the one that I build the relationship with them,
Mhm.
help them with whatever their needs are. So what I'm hearing daily, because I'm getting phone calls, they have my personal number, right? These students
Mhm.
calling me, asking me, Mr. Hall, what can I do? Mr. Hall, I can't go to school. There's nothing out. Mr. Hall, I don't have nowhere to go. Mr. Hall, I don't have anything to eat. Can you send me something to get something to eat with? And so these are real issues that I'm having to deal with, right?
Right.
Even though Mr. Hall, as an admissions counselor and a staff person, like the students were separated,
Mhm.
from Job Corps. So, they are still hurting. And while they're hurting, Mr. Hall is still helping. You
Mhm.
understand? And that's
Mhm.
because that's the passion side of me. Um, and I'm grateful for, all of those, everyone that have stepped up to the plate, right,
Mhm.
to help assist these students that are hurting. We have some great people, some leaders that have stepped up. We're grateful for the housing authority associations across who have offered to provide housing where they can provide housing for the students who are of age to, of course, kind of sign a lease and do what they need to do. And some of the other places, some of the churches and the leaders and organizations like the NAACP, we had to treat what happened with this abrupt closing with Job Corps like we treat any other disaster, because we literally had students homeless. Students weren't given an opportunity, weren't even given 48 hours to figure out a plan. There was no transition plan in place for the students that we serve. And so you now have thousands, 15,000 plus students. It's somewhere about 20,000 students in the Job Corps program. But you have all of these students, and these students come from broken places. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some of them was escaping their conditions just to better themselves and be able to be um, productive citizens, you know? And then all of a sudden, your dreams are shattered by, you know, one person's or this administration's goal of just wanting to save a few dollars or put
Mm-hmm.
more money in the hands of the rich while taking from the poor.
Well, let me ask this, because I know one of the most important thing is to make sure, even in spite of this situation where everybody was just thrown on the street overnight, uh, what about safe spaces? Safe spaces, you know, being created for these individuals, for these students who have just been put out on the street? Do they have safe spaces to go back to?
Unfortunately, Mr. Brown, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Um, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And just being real, more probably not. These spaces
Mm-hmm.
are probably not safe. You know, these kids have been. They were just saying like, well, maybe they can go to a shelter, right? But what does a shelter look like for a child who's never really ever had to live in those type of conditions? You know, um, they're not safe spaces
Right.
for, and I can just be honest with you, for someone who may be of trans experience, right? Who may, you know, who have to battle the issues of being trans and living in society, who, you know, you're already fighting your identity, but you have to go to a shelter, and that shelter, because of these other laws and executive orders and things that have been put into place, you know, someone who identify, let's just say if it's a trans woman, and they're being forced to be put in a place to where their identity don't match in a
Mm-hmm.
shelter. And, you know, now you have this young lady who have to be in a shelter full of men. That's an unsafe space. and
Mm-hmm.
and these are our children don't deserve that, right? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and we in 2025 should not be having to deal with these same issues that we were dealing with in 1964. And I'm
Right.
glad you
And
kind of started off with, you know, I'm like Reginald and like you and like Fannie, like I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like, you know,
mhm.
we shouldn't have to be fighting the fights that we are fighting. Now, as an
Mhm.
activist, one of the things I see and I'm saying, this is intentional, right? We know that the those who are in positions of power and this current administration is doing everything that they can to dismantle all of the progress that has been made, from our voting rights to our human rights and civil rights, um, to the programs that was put in place to build a working class and build a middle class. This administration is not just gutting Job Corps. It's Job
Mhm.
Corps. It's AmeriCorps. It's Peace Corps. It's
Yes.
Upward Bound programs. It's all of the programs that uplift poor Black and brown communities.
Yes. It's
And
these
so,
marginalized
yeah.
communities being affected, and unfortunately, this administration is treating people as collateral damage and casualties of war. And really, we are hearing from both sides of the aisle who are really opposing this shutdown. So, if you're hearing this from both sides of the aisle, what does this outrage tell you, Eric?
I mean, it tells me that Job Corps is a program that's working, right?
Yes.
People are speaking up, speaking out against it. Like this is something that's been going on for 60 years. So like, why are we, you know, trying to attack kids when we got bigger fish to fry? you
Yes.
know, um, and I'm grateful for the bipartisan support
Hmm.
that we have, and hopefully, with the restraining order that has been put in place, we have this critical hearing that's coming up on the 17th, where, we're hoping the judge will provide an injunction and allow the operations of Job Corps to continue while we continue to fight the administration, to allow Job Corps to continue to successfully serve our young people.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. Thank you, Eric, so much for taking time of your schedule to be with us. Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but I do want to ask one final question. What's keeping you hopeful? What are you seeing in these students that keep you fighting, that keeps you fighting?
The children haven't given up. The
Hmm.
children remain steadfast. The children are leading efforts to fight this system, an administration that do not value them. And so, just to kind of close us out, what keep me hopeful is seeing these young, black and brown and white, because we are a diverse institution. Not all of us, our students are even U.S. citizens, but we are all coming together to put pushback and the fight back against an administration that does not value um, the efforts that we provide.
Hmm.
I'm going to continue to build working class power. I'm going to continue to build leaders. I'm going to continue to advocate, even being unemployed. That doesn't stop the voice. And so the attempt to silence us only push me to speak louder. And so that's why I do what I do.
All right. Thank you so much, Eric. We're going to have you back on the show to continue talking about this because I think this needs to be a part two, part three on the Job Corps situation. Thank you so much. Up next, we have the Union Buster of the Week with Timia Wiley.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, saints and ain'ts, family, friends, union members, and freedom fighters. This Juneteenth, let's lace up our walking shoes and take a united step forward for justice and remember real power. We're going to do something a little bit different on this segment. I'm calling on every CWA member, every ally, and every community member to join us in Opal's virtual walk for freedom. It's a 2.5 mile walk happening on Thursday, June 19th, in honor of the 2.5 years it took for the last enslaved people in Texas to finally receive the news that they were free. 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation had been signed, you can walk anytime, any place at your leisure. Let's talk a little bit about the incredible woman behind the movement. Dr. Opal Lee, known across the country as the grandmother of Juneteenth, is a 97-year-old force of history and heart of the movement. Born in 1926 in Marshall, Texas, and raised in Fort Worth, she experienced the pain of racial injustice early. At just 12 years old, her family home was destroyed by a white mob, and yet she turned that trauma into purpose. She became a teacher, a community leader, a civil rights warrior, dedicated to justice. At age 89, Miss Opal Lee began a journey that would inspire millions. She walked 1,400 miles from Fort Worth, Texas to Washington, D.C. to demand that Juneteenth be recognized as a federal holiday. Her vision, her tenacity, and her walk helped make history when President Joe Biden signed Juneteenth into law in 2021, with Miss Opal right there beside him. But even after that victory, she kept right on walking. Each year, she completes a 2.5 mile walk to symbolize 2.5 years Black people in Galveston, Texas remained enslaved after freedom was declared. And this year, on Thursday, June 19th, she's asking all of us to walk alongside her. Here's how you can participate. You can commit to walking 2.5 miles. This can take place, again, like I said, at your leisure, or as they say, at your leisure, in your neighborhood, on a treadmill, at a park, at a beach, or on your local track. We ask you, if you have one, to wear your local union shirt or a red shirt to show the world that you stand in solidarity and you stand for liberation and in solidarity with labor union. We ask that you take a picture and share it proudly with us. Please tag CWA Human Rights on Facebook. Again, you can find us, CWA's Our Power Radio Show, on CWA Human Rights Facebook page. So if you don't have a red shirt, if you're just getting out there walking, it doesn't matter. We love you anyways. We want to see your smiling faces. Please take a picture. Tag us at CWA Human Rights on Facebook. And remember, this isn't just a walk. It's a march through history, a living tribute, and a bold reminder that freedom delayed is not freedom denied. If we stay committed to the fight, we can see this thing through together. So mark your calendars. Thursday, June 19th, exactly 1 week from today, Opal's virtual walk for freedom. We call it virtual because we're not all going to be in one place, but we're all going to be committed to doing this together. Let's walk for truth. We're going to walk for justice. Let's walk because our freedom isn't fully won until every single person is free. Again, this is Timia. You're listening to Our Power Radio Show. Let's rise. Let's walk. Let's do this together. This has been your Union Buster of the Week. It's a little bit different, but our charge this week is to get out, get our shoes on. Let's walk for our health. Let's walk for our freedom. Let's be free. Let's remain vigilant. Back to you, Errol.
All right. Thank you so much, Timia. And we cannot get out of here before we have that tea with Tay. Come on in here, Tay.
All right. Well, good morning to my KYOK family and my union family. So this is going to be a strong one. There's no sugar added. I like it bold. So here we go. So today we're going to be discussing what happens when individuals receive leadership titles but become too comfortable in the boardroom, neglecting the people who built the movement brick by brick. And yes, I'm talking about the labor movement with picket signs, pay stub, protest scars, and sleepless nights. And please don't take this the wrong way because I believe in leadership. But leadership without connection, without accountability, without doing the groundwork, that's not leadership. That's just a title with a travel budget. See, too many times when folks get the title, that seat at the table, they stop walking the plant floors. They stop checking in on the folks clocking in. They start speaking in slogans, but they forget to say, I hear you. The people, they forget to say, I hear you to the people who elected them. They confuse compromise with complacity. They, they trade vision for vanity. And the realty, they start playing for the personal game while the rank and file are still playing for survival. Our union was founded on a movement, not maneuvering. It was formed by the voices of the unheard, not by the whispers of insiders. It was built by those who didn't care if they were liked, they cared if they were right. So I'm asking the hard question today. When did we start protecting titles more than we protect the people? When did access become more valuable than action? When did we, the people, turn into us versus us? Now, listen, that's why I'm so deeply grateful for the international president, Mr. Claude Cummings Jr., and the IUE CWA president, Mr. Carl Kennebrew. They have not forgotten. While I was in Orlando just a few weeks ago, they took the time to not only speak to me and fill me with much needed knowledge and wisdom as leaders. I've observed them engage with so many, not just talking, but listening and understanding. They made space, and most importantly, they did what I've seen them do countless times. As international leaders, they showed up. These leaders are still on the ground. They remind us what real union leadership looks like, and not just in words, but in presence, principle, and practice. Because out here on the ground, the work never stops. The struggle never takes a lunch break. And the people still watching, still holding on to union that shows up unapologetically. So sip on that and take a moment to reflect. Consider what you're actually accomplished in the labor movement. Have you ever strengthened our union? And how have you ever given back to the people? Are you still for the people or just for the perks? And remember, this isn't tea, it's healing. This brew is served as a reminder to check yourself, not your life, not your title, but yourself. This has been another segment of Tea with Tay, and as I told you before, it was going to be a strong one. Stay tuned, stay loud, and stay union strong. Back to you, Errol.
Thank you so much. As we come down to the final minutes of the show, we want to thank Mr. Lou Moye and Mr. Eric Hall for being our guests this morning. An hour is not long enough to be with you, and a week is too long to be away from you. You have been tuned into the CWA Human Rights Hour Power broadcast. I hope something you've heard today has inspired you to take action toward creating positive change in the world. Every person has the power to make a difference, no matter how small. And by working together, we can create a world where human rights are respected and valued. So I encourage each of you in the listening audience to reflect on your role in promoting human rights to effect change in your communities and beyond. Know that you are not alone in your quest for a more just and equitable world. When faced with injustice, it can be easy to lose hope and give up. But remember, justice may be slow like the truth, but when it finally comes, it will stand. Until next Thursday, 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, right here on KYOK 1140 a.m. and the all new 106.5 KYOKradio.org. See you next week.